Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about cleaning the duct for your clothes dryer and also some clothes dryer tips. We'd like to thank Cartman Johnson, who gave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and he had an interesting question on how to choose a contractor, and we'll answer that at the end of the episode. So the first kind of mechanical clothes dryer was called the ventilator.
From ancient Egypt?
No, this was not that long ago. And it was like in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. They had a hand-cranked drum, and you would put this over a fire, and this is how you would dry your clothes. And then it wasn't until 1938 where they came up with an electric clothes dryer. Mm-hmm. And this was from the Hamilton Manufacturing Company. And what's interesting is they were huge because they had a lot of different products that they developed. And they developed the first electric clothes dryer, but now they don't do anything with clothes dryers. Now they sell medical, cabinetry, and cafeteria products.
Interesting.
And what's funny is the first clothes dryers, until like 1960, they were so expensive that the average family couldn't afford it.
So it was just clotheslines?
Right, exactly, clotheslines.
Mm-hmm. My grandparents...
I should have done some research on the history of the clothesline.
Yeah. My grandparents had a clothesline in the backyard, and Grandma, they had a clothes dryer, but she had special things that she would only...
Really? Sounds like my grandma in Nebraska. Outside. Yeah, she was the same way.
Yeah.
But
it was terrible, though, when we'd be playing in the backyard. It was always a hazard with the clothesline back there.
Or get hung.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or run into the pole.
That's funny. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of research. There wasn't much technical with clothespins until we saw that. Who do we see at...
Heggs?
At Heggs at one of the shows. Mm-hmm. So they've got that clothespin that has extra little hooks on it, so you can hang multiple things on one clothespin.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
if you're purchasing a new clothes dryer,
okay,
what are some things that you need to think about?
So you need to know whether you need an electric or gas model. If you have electric, you're going to have a 240 volt plug right there.
So that's the big plug?
Yes. Or you're going to have a gas line with a 120 volt outlet. And then you need to know how big you need for the capacity, the machine size, because there is no standard. There's no terminology that's standardized, which is pretty funny. So you're going to see like extra large, king size, ultra capacity. Mm-hmm. But what you're looking for, if you have a family of 4, the typical size is going to be about 6 cubic feet. And then if you need something...
So what is that saying? So like the inside of the drum?
The drum, how big the amount that it'll handle. And then a large size would be considered around 9 cubic feet. So that's kind of gives you a little guide there.
What about like the size of the machine itself?
So
is there a standard size for that?
Yeah, I think that's smart to think about too, because you need to leave 1 to 3 inches between the appliances for air circulation, and then you actually want 4 to 6 inches behind the dryer.
The washer machine
and the dryer. Yeah, they need air circulation.
So my parents that have their dryer
where it's all jammed together, yeah. Yes, you should buy them a new fire extinguisher. And then a top-loading dryer, you need about 20 inches clearance.
Really?
Yeah. So a standard dryer is probably going to be about 27 inches wide, 36 inches high, and 26 inches deep. A large dryer is going to be 29 inches wide, 40 inches high, and 30 inches deep. But definitely look at the labels because every manufacturer is going to be a little bit different. Then if you just don't have a lot of room at all, you have a very tiny house or a condo, you can get one of the space savers. Mm-hmm. So it's very tall and narrow. It has a top-loading washing machine on the bottom, and then it has the dryer up on top.
Yeah, it's cool.
Then the coolest thing ever are the combination washer and dryers.
All in one?
Yeah, amazing. So you told me about this.
Right, because I asked you if you researched it, and you're like, oh, yeah, it's a space saver. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, my aunt and uncle just bought one like last year, and it's
crazy.
You put the clothes in the washing machine, and it becomes the dryer.
Yeah, it's magical. And so there's no vent, there's no ductwork. It has a special condenser that's drying the clothes on very low heat. and it's condensing the moisture, and then that drains out to the drain.
And it's all off a 120 line too.
Yeah, amazing. So
you could use this in your kitchen. You
right.
could wheel it out, use it.
Put wheels on it.
Drain it into the sink.
Yeah, amazing. Never seen anything like this. So it's called a combination, and they say that it does a great job. You need special high efficiency laundry detergent in most cases to use this. It doesn't wash as large a load as a traditional washing machine, and it takes about 2 to 3 times longer to dry.
Right.
But if you have limited space and you can only have room for one unit, this is really kind of an amazing technology.
Well, I think they said it takes the whole cycle takes about 3 hours.
Yeah, very interesting.
But still, you put it in one thing and you're done.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's cool. Some companies are adding smart technology to their dryers.
What does that mean?
So you can have this hooked up to your smart device, like your phone, and monitoring your dryer at all times. So when the dryer is done, it sends an alert to your phone so that you don't have wrinkled clothes. And then some models have built-in monitoring, and if there's a problem, it's hooked up so that it sends an error message to the manufacturer. And then if it's a bad enough problem, they'll get hold of you and tell you what to do for your dryer. So it'll send like troubleshooting tips to your phone to what you should be handling. And
It's a little freaky, isn't it?
It's wild. I'm digging it. Yeah, I like all the robotic stuff. And then some will actually turn on. You load it up and you let the dryer know that there's clothes in there, and it waits until the electric rates drop to the lowest cost, and it'll turn itself on.
Well, that's super cool.
Yeah, so very interesting technology.
What are some features that are available on new clothes dryers?
So a couple I thought were interesting. One is a moisture sensor. It'll shut the dryer off automatically. So rather than just setting a time, like I want it on for 60 minutes, they have a sensor that when it's at the right humidity level, it shuts it off, so you're not wasting electricity. I like a drying rack inside there where you can put delicate clothes, or you can put like your gym shoes in the center, and so your clothes are tumbling around it, and you've got a little drying rack in the center.
So it's not the thump.
Right, exactly. And then I would say, get a variety of temperature and tumble settings. If you get one, spend it. It's not that much more expensive, the models I was looking at, to have a variety of settings for delicate clothes. And then they have a couple machines that have steam settings, so it's going to help remove odor and wrinkles.
Oh, interesting.
They have a couple models that are called noise dampening, just the style of the way the drum moves. And then I like the models with a light inside there.
Why?
Because, you always lose your socks and stuff, so you can see it.
Well, my parents, on their dryer, the light went out, and it's funny how you
It's
get
a drag,
used
man.
Yeah.
Especially, depending on where your machine is. And then the wildest thing I saw is I think that you should have something that's NSF certified.
And what's that?
So that stands for the National Sanitation Foundation. And these machines have a sanitizing cycle to kill bacteria. So I would say if you're buying a washing machine, a dishwasher, a clothes dryer, I would definitely get something with this NSF certification. So it's a label with a blue circle with white letters, NSF, and this is saying that it will kill bacteria. A couple of the articles said that these machines just become a breeding ground for bacteria if the temperature's not high enough.
Really?
So I think that's a really nice feature. And then for the best rated machines, we looked at J.D. Powers, a bunch of online reviews, a couple of reviews from Home Depot, and Good Housekeeping Research. The top models were LG, Samsung, Maytag, Electrolux, and Whirlpool. And then from GE, they have a line called Hot Point, and that was rated very high for a low-cost dryer.
You really need to decide what features that you want, because the price range on these, you can get one for a couple $100 to a couple $1,000.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a big range.
Why don't we cover some tips on how to remove stains from inside the dryer?
Okay, so I spoke to Maytag, and their recommendation was always turn off the gas or electric before you start cleaning inside a dryer. They recommend if you have a stain inside the drum itself, use a non-flammable cleaner. Spray the cleaner on a cloth rag first. Don't spray it inside the drum. And then just wipe till you remove it. and then you want to use a different rag that's damp with maybe a touch of liquid soap, and then clean the whole drum, and then use another rag that's just plain water. Then you want to dry the drum as best you can. But then they recommended, after doing all that, grab some towels and then run the cycle so that the drum dries.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we cover specific items that end up getting washed and then dried and stuck inside your dryer?
All right. So one thing that I read was on crayons. I guess crayons are a big problem, which I didn't realize. So turn off your gas or electric, get the machine off, scrape out the big chunks with a plastic scraper, and they recommended spraying WD-40 on a clean rag, never in the drum, and then scrub it until it's gone. And in the lubrication episode, we talked about all the solvents that are in WD-40. It does a really nice job of breaking things down. Then just clean it. Then you want to go back with a different soapy rag, clean it really well, dry it, and you want to leave this open and air dry for a few hours so that all the solvents evaporate. If you have ink in your dryer, you're going to want to use rubbing alcohol on a clean rag, and for this, definitely make sure that the gas and electric is off. And then you want to keep changing the rags until it's clean. Then you're going to use warm soapy water and then dry it like crazy, and make sure that it's allowed to evaporate before you turn it back on. And then for candy or gum, you can use a blow dryer to warm it up, and then use a plastic scraper to get all the chunks off. A couple of the manufacturers just recommended using an all-purpose cleaner on a dry rag. With lipstick, they're saying that you want to try to get it all up as much as possible with a clean, dry rag first, and then go after it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a clean rag. Again, never spray any of these chemicals into the drum, and then follow that with soapy rag, and then just a damp rag, and then dry it thoroughly.
Let's switch gears here and talk about vent cleaning.
All right.
I don't think most people realize how dangerous clothes dryers can be without the proper maintenance.
Yeah, it's crazy. There are thousands of fires every year just caused from lint in a dryer.
And something as simple as cleaning out the lint tray every time you do a load saves lives.
Well, there was a study done by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and they say that fires are primarily starting in the lint trap, which is wild, and then the dryer duct is the biggest cause. A routine that every homeowner should have is cleaning the dryer duct at least once a year.
Right. What are the steps to cleaning a dryer duct?
So if your dryer is right next to an outside wall and you just have a very short distance, you want to turn off the gas, disconnect the electric, and then you want to pull out the dryer to see how the duct is connected. And you're either going to have solid, semi-solid, or very soft, flexible aluminum, and you never want plastic or vinyl duct. And like the hardware store, I can't tell you how many people would come in and say they're changing the dryer duct, and they would grab that plastic flexible duct, and that's only for bathroom venting, because not only will it burn, but those chemicals are highly toxic when it burns, so you have to use aluminum.
It should almost be merchandised in a separate area.
It should be in a completely different area. And they should have more warnings on the box, because nothing jumps out at you on most of the marketing. The ductwork itself, most of them are going to be held in place with a hose clamp. So you're either going to have a stainless steel band with a screw drive, so you'd use like a nut driver or a slotted screwdriver to turn that screw, and that's going to loosen that. And then another type of clamp, they have two little tabs that come off the end, and you just squeeze those together. You grab it with like a channel lock, and that loosens that. You want to remove that flexible duct, and then you're going to use a 4-inch...
So from the dryer?
Yes, so you're moving it from where it vents outside and where it connects to the dryer, and you're going to grab a duct brush, so it's going to be 4 inches wide, and it's going to have a flexible rod connected to it, and you're going to push this through that, whether you have solid or flexible, and clean it out really well. But then you need to grab either one of those fridge brushes or an appliance brush, and you want, it almost looks like a big bottle brush, and you want to clean inside the lint trap itself. You want to pull out your dryer, clean behind it, clean under it. You want to get up this lint because it is highly flammable, and the heat of the machine can actually cause a fire. You then want to use that brush and a vacuum and clean the duct that's coming out of the back of the dryer, and then the duct that's going to the outside, and just get everything up. You're going to want to reconnect everything. Make sure that you check the duct, that nothing's tore. You can get very flexible foil-like ductwork that I really don't like that because it tears easy. I like something called semi-rigid, and you can get that at any hardware store. Ask for it. It's 4-inch aluminum. It's thicker than the real thin foil stuff. The solid ductwork is the safest, but it's very difficult to use, and it's hard to move your dryer back and forth. So I would say the semi-rigid is probably a nice balance between convenience and safety. For very long runs of duct, so let's say you have a dryer and it's venting out of an attic or through a basement, a great tool you can pick up is called the lint eater, and it's actually called a dryer vent cleaning system because it comes with all kinds of different adapters. It has a 4-inch lint brush that connects to multiple flexible sections.
Right.
So I think the box itself comes with 4 3-foot sections, and then you can buy additional. So we've used this at a bunch of projects, and we've done some videos on our YouTube channel.
Yep, super easy to use.
Yeah, it's nice. You put it on a cordless drill. You definitely want to use a drill with a clutch because you don't want too much force because you can tear some flexible duct. But you're going to always use this tool in the forward direction. You never because the way it works is you connect all these rods together,
right?
And so they all turn clockwise. If you were to accidentally get way down into a duct and you put it in reverse, you're going to unscrew it.
Yeah.
So whether you're pushing forward or pulling this head out of your ductwork, you always want to leave it in the forward spinning motion.
Didn't we always wrap electrical tape around it?
Right. The way they suggest you using it is put the sections together, tighten it with a pair of pliers, 2 pair of pliers, so you're tightening both rods, and then a small piece of electrical tape just to kind of hold everything together. But if you always leave it in the forward direction, you won't have a problem. Does a fantastic job. If you have a dryer that isn't right next to an outside wall, I think this is a tool that every homeowner should have.
My cousin called us over to his house because his new dryer was taking forever to dry the clothes. So we went over there, thought it would be an easy video to do, the lint eater. So we unhook everything, go in, and start the video, and you're pulling out the lint eater, and it's pulling out this pink.
Right.
And it's like, well, all the lint is gray.
Right. What's he wearing that's pink?
Yeah. So we go down into his basement. In the crawl space there, the elbow for the ductwork fell off.
Well, it was completely apart. Yeah.
Right. So they didn't attach it correctly.
Right. We ran that brush through there, and it just went right out the duct and into his insulation.
Right. And then, but the whole crawl space is just covered in lint. I mean, it was amazing.
Highly flammable lint.
Yeah. So he had to clean all that up.
So it's definitely worth checking your ductwork.
Yeah.
Especially moving into a new home, it's nice to kind of walk through and look at all these things.
But that's one of the signs of a clogged vent is that it's taking forever to dry
exactly.
clothes.
So if it takes longer, if the unit itself seems hotter than normal, if the laundry room is more humid than normal, if you get a smell, it's almost like it's like a burning smell.
Right.
That's one of the signs.
Or I know here at my condo, the laundry room, when they're doing their laundry, it smells like lint.
Right.
I mean,
it's such a buildup. Exactly. And then check the outside vent flap. If it doesn't look like it's opening wide, then you probably have such a buildup of lint that's constricting the airflow. Another thing you should check once a year are the vent covers, and you should have a vent cover on your duct coming out of the house. It's wild how birds will fly in there and build nests. And, we went to your dad's house, and the amount of twigs and things I pulled out of there, along with lint.
Yeah.
What happened was one of the flaps broke.
Right, on the vent cover. It was a windy day. They were doing laundry, and one of them broke off, and so the bird's just like, hey, hey. So we went there. It was like on a Friday. We cleaned it all out, and then we had to run someplace else, so we went back there on a Monday to install the new vent cover, and he had to clean it all out again. And they were busy little birds there.
Amazing. And so there's a couple main styles that you see in a vent cover. One is caged, so it's completely closed off. And these, we found in our experience, really build up lint fast and can really cause a blockage if you're not diligent.
It's not doing what it should be doing.
Right. I really like the louvered style, so it keeps birds out, less lint gets caught, and then some, like the one we put in at your dad's, have a special frame that pops up, so you're able to pop up that frame, really clean it well, and then pop it back down.
Well, when I was researching it, there's quite a few now that are magnetized.
Oh, really?
So they come back down so you can't pull them apart. So like birds, because that's what the other problem with my dad's was the one thing was missing.
Right. The one louver.
Right. The one flap was missing. But when we came back, 2 days later, they had popped off the second one.
Evil birds.
The evil. They are.
Yeah. I haven't ever installed one of the magnetic ones. I've seen another style by Lambro. That's Lambro, and it has.
I didn't think you were going to be able to spell in this episode.
It has a plastic tube that goes to a barrel shape, and then there's a cap on the top of that. And so when your dryer is venting, it pushes that cap straight up and allows it to vent, and then the minute the dryer's off, that cap closes straight down so birds and insects can't get into it easily. But I was always scared to try those at our buildings because I was scared, like here in the Midwest, that snow would accumulate on the top of that.
Right.
So I always thought the louvered style was, just kind of the goof-proof style to cheat.
So my mom always told a story about the neighbor that their vent wasn't covered, so birds were building a nest in there, and then one day she was doing the laundry, opened up the dryer, and a bird flew out.
That'd be so great.
Oh, I'd run screaming. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I would say if you're purchasing a dryer, know the size, how much room you have, the features you're looking for. For a family of 4, you're probably looking for about 6 cubic feet. 9 cubic feet is considered large. I would always look for NSF certified because it's going to kill germs and bacteria. And then Energy Star, you can't go wrong if you look for that. Then a routine every homeowner should have is clean your dryer duct at least once a year. Get behind it, around it, inside the lint trap itself. If you have a very long run of ductwork going to the outside, I really like that lint eater tool.
Super easy to use.
Yeah, it does a really nice job. And then check your vent cover outside because with sunlight, they dry out. If you have a louvered style, they do dry out and crack, and those louvers pop off.
Or if it's super windy.
Right. Or if you have a lot of birds in your backyard.
And then clean your lint trap every time you do laundry.
Absolutely. Cartman Johnson, who gave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, had a question for us. So he works at a big box hardware store, and he shares a lot of our tips with his customers.
That's funny.
Yeah. And he said that he gets a question a lot where customers want to know, how can I hire a contractor without getting ripped off? So I think one of the easiest things is if you pick a contractor that belongs to the NARI. So if you go to NARI.org, this is the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, contractors who join this, they have to agree to a code of ethics. They have to get certified, which means they have to pass all these written exams, which I think is really nice if there's some standardization. And then when they agree to become part of this organization, they have to continually get new education. So you're up on all the latest trends in the industry.
Right, the new codes.
So I think it's very nice. And they also have a monitoring part of this. So you can put your zip code into their zip code locator, and they'll give you a list of contractors who are part of their organization.
So instead of just using the guy down the block.
Right, which he might be a nice guy.
Right, yeah.
But then in our episode where we talked about the remodeling episode, we spoke to Robert from Kreiner Remodeling. A couple of his tips was to interview at least 3 contractors and talk to them. Find out if they've done this type of remodel before, because you don't want to be the first one that they've tried this on.
Well, I like what he said. They might have 20 years of experience, but they've never added on a second addition.
Right, exactly. Right.
Second story addition to a house.
Right. You can check the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulations website and see if there's any problems with the contractor. And then make sure that your contractor is licensed and get the company that gives the certificate of their insurance to send you a copy so that you know that they have it. A couple of things that Robert suggested was go to the NAHB.org, and that's the National Association of Home Builders. And very similar to the NARI, they have continuing education. If you're part of that group, you have some type of certification, and then look for somebody who's a graduate master remodeler or a certified graduate remodeler. And I think if you kind of follow that and interview them, you'll probably have pretty good luck.
But it's just like with anything else, you have to put the work in to find somebody that's going to be good.
Right, absolutely.
let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
Check out our home improvement videos on our Fix It Home Improvement channel on YouTube. That didn't come out too smooth, did it? But go there. It's cool.
And you can subscribe there as well.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.